traveling to Morocco. I mean, it is illegal, right, for same-sex activity for same-sex couples, right? So is it safe for them?
Morocco is quite like a unique kind of country in that regard, actually. So it's a country that has in itself a gay history. So like Tangier, where I am today, was a gay haven in the 30s and in the 30s and the 40s, actually, when Western countries in Europe and the US were much more conservative, actually. A lot of artists and people started coming here and they settled in Tangier. It was more like Sin City at the time, actually. And yes, they developed a reputation.
You're listening to Queer Travel Chat by Two Bad Tourists. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Queer Travel Chat. My name is Austin. I am one half of the blogger duo Two Bad Tourists, and joining me here to my left in our podcast studio in Madrid is David.
I'm here too. What's up, guys? We're happy to be back. This is our last episode of season 3. We only did 8 episodes. I feel bad about that.
No, don't worry. It's getting hot in Madrid, so we need to close out the season.
That's true.
Because my studio does not have air conditioning, so we will be back shortly, maybe September, October timeframe. So stay on the lookout for upcoming episodes.
I agree.
For season 4.
It won't be worth it to be in here.
We will be boiling and dying.
But we've done a lot since our last episode, I feel like. We went on our Virgin Voyages cruise of Greece and Croatia. We had a couple new stops that we had never done before. So what did you think? Your elbow is in my frame.
Oops, sorry.
What did you think? Did you enjoy the ports?
Yeah, so it was round trip from Athens. It was basically Croatia, Montenegro, and Greece. And my favorite port, like by far, was Kotor in Montenegro, which is
easily
like in this, what do they call it? The valleys made by glaciers.
Fjords.
I had no idea there were even fjords in like that part of Europe, and it was just stunning.
You liked it when we were entering. I think you got video because you were like working from the balcony that morning, and then as we were leaving, we were at the back of the ship watching it, and it really is incredible,
gorgeous. They said like that particular part of Montenegro, like one of the areas has like the most rainfall in all of Europe. So it's like very green, very lush. Like, you know, the cliffs just cut right into the waters. It was stunning.
Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect because we've never been to Montenegro. I've heard good things, but that's definitely worth repeating. And we had a group of 45 guests, so that was fun. They were all good people. We had our group dinners every night.
Everything went well. It was a great time.
12 people,
Maybe just a tad bit of drama. I don't know if we should say or not.
You know what? I always think a little bit of drama makes a group trip fun.
Yeah, are you gonna spill the tea?
I mean, it's not the worst thing, but we had a couple guests get, a little overly drunk at the first dinner. I think they kind of dominated. You sat with them.
Yeah,
so
I did.
Dominated the table situation.
Well, listen, they chilled out after like the next 3 to 4 to 5 days, and we were like, okay, good. This isn't going to be a problem.
Yeah, when they got overly excited, we were okay with that. But
until day 7?
I think it was like day 5. It was our at sea day, so that was day 6.
Okay, day 6. Yeah, day 6, day 7, basically. Well, let's just put it this way: they went to cruise jail.
Yeah, they got too drunk at the pool, bothered some of the other guests that were not part of our group, and went to cruise jail, which is basically just you had to go to your cabin and
and they had a security guard like standing outside the cabin making sure they didn't leave. So sorry guys, if you're listening to this podcast, unfortunately you can't come.
Listen, that was an extreme example. It doesn't usually happen, which is why we're talking about it. That was just had to give a bit of tea. But we got to go into the Rockstar suite of 2 of our guests, which was so cool because we've never gotten to do that before. That was our first time that we had guests that got. Is it the Rockstar Mega Suite? Is that what it's called?
It's the Mega Rockstar Suite. So there are basically 2 cabins, 2 suites on the ship that are the largest on the ship, and we'd never been. And I mean, they're stunning. It was incredible. It was the couple's like anniversary and birthday, so they really splurged.
We can check them out by name, right? Ted and Mike.
Ted and Mike, thanks.
Thank you so much, Ted and Mike, because they also like invited us over so that we could have a little cocktail party there. They let us use their space for. We did an impromptu workshop on board of how to deep throat with one of our trip leaders, Isaac. Thank you, Isaac, for proposing that.
Leading that.
Yeah, and leading that. It was a huge success.
Props, not actual.
Yeah, we got a lot of bananas, and they got to do it in the Mega Rockstar Suite. So it was cool to just check that out. It was fun to do an impromptu workshop there's lots of things to do on board, but we're like, hey, this is a gay group trip. Why not check it out?
Yeah.
So add some of our own little
That was
activities.
really cool.
So
Did you
it was fun.
Did you hear about like any hookups on board or anything?
No,
like
I'm
that?
always trying to get the tea from other
Okay.
guests and
I
like
can't.
hey, did anyone?
I think there were some of the guests that kind of were doing, but I don't know for sure. But I do know one thing for sure. We did find out one of our guests has an OnlyFans account.
Well, this is what I was
so-
wondering. Was he like getting content on board? Was he, like, was he doing some collaborations?
Yeah, I think there was some content
But
recorded.
sometimes
so
I feel like because we're the like the organizers, they don't want to tell
we
us
don't-
all
we
the
don't get all
the
info.
gossip and
But
stuff.
but if you guys want to know that OnlyFans account, just send us a DM and I'll send it to you.
Do you know what I'm always hoping for though? Because we have such large groups, right? 45, and some people are repeats. We had Yvonne and David from Spain came back this year with us. Mark and Chris as well. And I'm always those are
Lars has been on.
Well,
like
those are all
6 or
couples,
7
but I'm always
trips.
hoping that there's going to be like a love story one day.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
like
they
we
like-
met on a 2-bed tourist
Yeah.
group trip, and that.
But although maybe there hasn't been a love story, there have been like friendship stories because
Oh.
actually we're
Good
about
point.
to talk about Madrid Pride, which was just
That was
this past
Yeah.
weekend.
So after we got back from this group trip, right in the first weekend of July, Zoe's Pride weekend here in Madrid. And that is definitely our vacation time.
Yeah.
We're not working. We like to enjoy it. And we had 3 guests who were solo travelers on our very first Barcelona trip in 2020.
2021 or
21?
2022, something like that. And they didn't know each other obviously on the Barcelona trip. And then the 3 of them this year all organized a trip together to Madrid.
Yeah, so shout out to Pasquale, Casey, and Brian. And they contacted us to make sure that we could meet up. And so we got to meet them at the parade. We got to I had drinks with them the night Friday night before the parade, so it was really good to see them.
Yeah, and then also Scott from our June cruise also joined us in Madrid. So
Yeah,
that
we
was
had
cool.
just met him a couple weeks before, and then he
Yeah,
showed up
so that
and
was
got
cool.
to meet there for the parade. So it was cool. We had a little group from our group trips at the parade, so that was really fun. Before the parade, we went to Sandia on Friday, which is our favorite day party every year, because it's like, how often is there like a circuit party type scene that's during the day?
During the day, it's like 4 p.m. afternoon until maybe like 10 or 11.
The ironic thing about it is that it started out as a pool party, so it was actually at a pool, so you're all in your speedos and you're kind of dancing in the water a little bit, having a good time, and then it grew to a bigger space where there was a small pool. And then it grew so much that they had enlarged that space and they got rid of the pool.
Right.
And now people just party in their speedos and there's no water.
Yeah, so it's like the biggest pool party without a pool ever.
It doesn't make any
Like
sense.
thousands and thousands of gays from Madrid, Spain, and all around the world come. But it's so
But
much
we
fun.
like to do it. So that was a really good Pride weekend, I would say. I finally feel like I've recovered after the parade and after Pride weekend. It took me about a whole week. I'm like, okay, I've rested again, back in my routine.
I'm definitely recovered. I have a little bit of a lingering cough, so if you hear me cough, that's why, but I'm totally fine.
Yeah, we really put ourselves through it on Pride weekend, but totally worth it. Anyway, shall we get to our show today?
Let's do it.
We'll be speaking with Bilal El Hammoumy, who is a co-founder of Inclusive Morocco, which provides tailor-made itineraries around Morocco, offering luxury and comfort through a unique and immersive experience. And Inclusive Morocco is today's episode sponsor.
Yeah, so I actually met Bilal just a few months ago through an IGLTA online event, the LGBT Travel Association, and we got to talking, and I found out like he had such a cool story to share about his business and his experience in Morocco. So I invited him on the podcast. I really wanted to kind of share that story with everyone. So that's how we got connected. And David and I actually have been to Morocco, but it's been quite a while. It's been 12 years.
Yeah.
It was during our 1-year round the world trip where we had kind of sold everything we owned and we're just visiting various places. We were in Spain at the time, and kind of impromptu, we decided to take the ferry from the south of Spain to Tangier, which is like an hour ferry ride or 40 minutes. It's quite close. And then we took an overnight train to Marrakesh. So we spent 3 nights in Marrakesh.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who are interested in visiting like leaving Europe when they're doing a Spanish trip will pop over to Morocco because it is so close and to do that, very feasible. But we've only been in Marrakesh. I remember loving it. It was definitely an experience. I remember liking Marrakesh a lot, but I also feel like there's just so many other great cities to visit in Morocco. We've barely even scratched the surface. So.
Right, and we certainly don't know anything about that, so I'm really happy to have Bilal on the show to tell us all about that.
Well, before we bring him on, because we're talking about Morocco, I like to do my fun facts. So I kept it short and sweet. We'll just do kind of 4 fun facts that I found about Morocco. So I'll start with the first 2. Morocco has the oldest university in the world. The Carouane Mosque in Fez became the world's first university in 859. And today it's known as the University of Al Carouane. And like Spain, Morocco is a constitutional monarchy and has been since 1957. The current king, Mohammed VI, is the 23rd of his line, and the royal family has been in power since 1631, whereas Spain's current monarchy is from the year 1700.
You might also be interested to find out that Morocco is actually the most visited country in Africa. It attracted more than 13 million visitors last year in 2023.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, and I have to say, I think that, like, I find that surprising. I might have put maybe South Africa up there, Egypt up there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that.
I wouldn't have known that
expected
either.
Morocco,
So these are good fun facts that you found.
Mhm.
So just talking a little bit about geography. So while Fez and Marrakesh might be Morocco's cultural capitals or cities that are maybe more well known from tourism, they were actually both former capitals themselves, but the current capital is named Rabat. And the largest city in Morocco is actually Casablanca, which has a population of 3.3 million versus 1.1 million in Fez and only 900,000 in Marrakesh. So that just gives you a sense of size and geography.
I mean, I know Casablanca is a city that and Fez are cities I would love to go visit. I just didn't expect that Rabat was the capital, that Casablanca was the largest city. This is all kind of news to me, which just shows how little we know about Morocco.
Well,
so
yeah,
hopefully Bilal can teach us some stuff today. Well, if you like this show, please subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you listen. Also, be sure to leave a 5-star review if you enjoy our episodes. Plus, if you're watching live on any social media platform, feel free to leave us a comment or share the episode with your friends. You can follow us on social media. We're always at Two Bad Tourists. And what is our handle on MySpace?
MySpace. Oh my God, I hadn't heard about MySpace for years. My God.
You can't find us on MySpace. Okay, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So first, before we get into the episode, I just want to give a special thanks again to Inclusive Morocco and Bilal for sponsoring today's episode. So Bilal, why don't you come on to the show? Let's get chatting. All right, Bilal, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, hello, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hi, guys.
Well, let's just dive right in. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Oh, yeah. My name is Bilal El Hammoumy. I'm from Morocco. I'm based between Tangier and Marrakesh, and I traveled to Inclusive Morocco. So
are we talking to you now from Marrakesh or Tangier?
in Tangier at the moment. It's a bit too hot for me in Marrakesh, so I've run away to the north of Morocco where there's beautiful beaches and yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, to be by the coast then.
That sounds like a good plan. That's exactly why we do our podcast in seasons. This is the last episode of season 3 because it gets too hot to record in my podcast studio here in Madrid.
So do you just go like half the year in Marrakesh, half the year in Tangier, just kind of splitting your time?
Not exactly, but I spend about usually during season, the travel season here in Morocco, I spend most of the time in Marrakesh, and then when it's a little bit off season, I spend more time in Tangier. Up north, so most of my family and people I grew up with are here, so it's good to be back during that time.
Got it. That makes
nice.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. I really, you and I chatted a little bit a few months ago, but I'd really love to hear more about Inclusive Morocco and how it got started and kind of what you're trying to accomplish with the company.
Okay. Yeah, so Inclusive Morocco was born out of a passion to give kind of a voice to the LGBTQ community, not only in Morocco, but also outside the country. We felt that there's a gap in that regard. And so it was born to only actually the LGBT community, but to welcome and host people from different backgrounds, sexual orientations. Everyone actually is quite welcome. And we wanted to showcase that kind of Moroccan hospitality to them through our company. We are proudly the first LGBTQ travel company in Morocco, and throughout the years, we've tried to build up a much more inclusive Morocco to our travelers, to our team, and to the people we interact with daily basis. And also, we wanted to highlight the sustainability aspect of our country and how we can push it forward as a company as well.
Okay, so I was wondering, because I know you and Austin met, but now I understand the inclusive part of Inclusive Morocco, meaning inclusive of the LGBT community.
Yes, exactly. So we are first and foremost an LGBTQ plus travel company, but we are also welcome. We want to showcase the inclusivity of Morocco, the hospitality of our culture, and expand actually on that to every single person who wants to visit our country, in a sense.
That's amazing. Well, tell us a little bit about the team behind Inclusive Morocco. Who founded it? Who are your guides? Who do you work with?
I'm actually one of the co-founders of Inclusive Morocco. Yes, so the Inclusive Morocco was founded by me and Rania Shentouf, who's based in Florida, actually. Spends about 6 months in Florida and 6 months in and Morocco. We had a company based up in the north. Some excursion in Tangier and Chefchaouen and the cities up north, in a sense. During COVID, we had the time and energy to expand on it. And so during that time, we rebranded into Inclusive Morocco and started offering like services Morocco-wide, where we tailor-make a lot of the itineraries and so on, and sometimes also group itineraries throughout the country. We have a very diverse team, in a sense. Very, and for example, we have the first female driver in the country, and our guides are all also, you find them all across the spectrum, and we're really proud of that kind of diversity that we brought to the team and so on. Additionally, we started more of an educational kind of program where we said, okay, we're not only going to hire people who share our own values, but let's expand a little bit more so that we can be we can give a bit more visibility to our community, in a sense, and also extend a hand to the people who are victims of the education they did not get, or something like that. So sometimes, yes, there is a little bit of that as well in terms of the team diversity that
Right.
we saw.
That's really unique. I mean,
Yeah.
we've spoken to a lot of tour operators similar to you that are LGBT focused and based in different countries, but it's the first time I've ever heard anyone intentionally say that they, hire and train people who they want to help with the inclusivity elements. So that's awesome.
Well,
Congratulations.
and with the people, like the other, I imagine you're working with like local tour guides as well. So, I mean, how is it as an LGBT traveler? I mean, obviously they're working with LGBT clients. I imagine they don't have to be, LGBT themselves, but they have to be inclusive and welcoming, right? I mean,
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of people. Normally, our client safety and the sense of hospitality is at the forefront of our thought whenever we create every itinerary. So all the guides we work with are either themselves LGBTQ or allied and so on. What I wanted to speak about, for example, one of our photographers, and we have in-house photographers who create content for us, in instance, is quite a young. It was his first job ever, in a sense, and he comes from a very conservative town in Morocco and had quite a lot of misunderstandings of what gay is or what being part of the LGBTQ community is. And so at the time we were quite in a dilemma about what to do, whether like just say no, you do not share our values, so let you guys. But at the same time, this is a person who grew up in there, and all he has learned throughout his life and so on. So should we extend the hand and say, come and work with us, and probably you'll have a better understanding of being gay is. And these are not necessarily like issues about values of hospitality or welcoming and so on, but it's more about stigma, in a sense, connected to the community, and this is what we're trying to help with.
I think
Wow.
that's
It's giving me
fantastic.
goosebumps.
Yeah,
Like the
me too,
story
because
about the
it's
photographer.
giving
So awesome.
people, second chances and allowing people to grow, within their, as people. So I think that's
Sure.
fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, back to kind of
Yes.
Inclusive Morocco and a little bit about what you do. Can you tell us a little bit some of the itineraries that you offer?
All our itineraries are tailor-made, so they're usually curated to our travelers and what their travel aspirations are like, and so on. We like to call ourselves custodians of people's travel dreams, in a sense, and so a lot of time our itineraries are actually built after a lot of conversations with our client, what their travel lifestyle is, and so pride ourselves on being very, very flexible, and so we're never going to be someone who's like, oh, it's going to start at 9 a.m. and then you have this and that, have that, and so on. We'll send you a program, but it's private and it's your program, so you can do it as you please. We also have a lot of quite unique experiences that we've curated, and we've grown a lot in terms of the arts and culinary experiences. Also, a lot of cultural tours, of course, because Morocco is first and foremost a very cultural destination as well. But a lot of our tours and itineraries are also thought provoking, and we like to simulate people's thinking and create a kind of conversation or something like that, so that it can be more of we can sustain a kind of conversation even after they leave, in a sense, and Morocco can stay a little bit at the back of their mind or something like that.
Right. Okay. So imagine you have some travelers who have been researching Morocco. They've done a little bit of research. They know they want to go. Maybe they want to spend 7 to 10 days. Like, what would be? Give us an example itinerary of maybe some of the places you'd go, how long you'd stay, and just maybe some of the highlights that those people would see if they traveled with you.
So a lot of people here normally stay on average for 10 days. Morocco looks on the map, but it's quite big when you arrive here, and so a lot of people will look to visit Marrakesh, for example. It's usually one of the highlights, especially for first-time visitors. And the Sahara Desert is something that is indescribable in terms of like the inclusions as well. So on a 10 days itinerary, we might include Rabat, and then Fez, for example, to the desert, and then and then
So how is it for if you're traveling on your own and you're not going with an organized uh, tour company? How is it for travelers? Is it easy to navigate on their own, or do you think it's recommendable to work with travel companies? Because I don't know, I feel like Spain, you can do either one. If you're a good traveler, you can definitely navigate it on your own. It's not a problem. But if you're somebody who wants to have someone else plan it all for you, then of course there's that option. How's Morocco? Do you think it's navigable for people?
I think with Morocco is also manageable in a sense if you are someone who's quite independent and you are a good traveler, you can do it. The issues here might be more related to the language barriers or the cultural side of things, in a sense, and that's where doing it with a tour operator would get a little bit more peace of mind. Because lots of people wouldn't speak English here when you go out to the main cities and so on. Although it's a growing kind of there's growing community who speaks English as well. So the booking with a tour operator will definitely help in terms of the access, give you a little bit more sensitivity, kind of briefing about like what is culturally tolerated or not here, in a sense, or so this is where it comes as an advantage actually to book with a tour operator. But if you're adventurous, of course,
yeah. Well, I asked because when we went, we were there 12 years ago. We only did Marrakesh for 3 days, but I do remember it being overwhelming.
Yeah, more overwhelming than traveling in places like Europe.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
feels a little bit more accessible.
And we did it on our own, but it was
but also like
more challenging.
Like we spoke about, and there's lots of LGBT people out there that want to visit great places like Morocco, but being part of the queer community, they might have hesitations because they're not sure. Is this a place that's safe for me? Is it welcoming? And what I love about, companies like yourselves or, LGBT welcoming tour operators is it gives people that peace of mind to like take the step, take the risk, take the jump to actually go to a place they want to visit. because they know that, you know, the suppliers and the guides that you guys have selected are always going to be, you know, either part of the community themselves or allies. So it's a really extra great peace of mind.
Well, but then on that note, though, how is it for LGBTQ travelers traveling to Morocco? I mean, it is illegal, right, for same-sex activity for same-sex couples, right? So is it safe for them?
Morocco is quite like a unique kind of country in that regard, actually. So it's a country that has in itself a gay history. So like Tangier, where I am today, was a gay haven in the 30s and the 30s and the 40s, actually, when Western countries in Europe and the US were much more conservative, actually. A lot of artists and people started coming here and they settled in Tangier. It was more like Sin City at the time, actually. And yes, they developed a reputation. And so it was through colonialism that homosexuality became illegal in the country and then stayed after independence. But we've someone has said once that Morocco is a country where tolerance is practiced but not preached, and I think that's the case here in Morocco. It's usually like looking at the legal context. Yes, it is illegal, but for travelers or even for the local LGBT community now, it's becoming a much more liberal kind of country in a sense. It is progressing when you see it with our gaze, definitely, and definitely it's the most liberal country in the Arab world at the moment. So people can definitely feel safe to come here. Of course, you have to be quite respectful of the cultural norms and so on. It's regardless of your sexual orientation, to be honest.
You mean like public affection?
Yes. So regardless of your sexual orientation, showcasing public affection is usually not encouraged. Especially in smaller cities. In bigger cities, it would be okay. I've just been on, like, it was the festival season in Morocco at the moment. I've been here and there. So I've seen how things are changing as well. Lots of people from the LGBT community are much more outgoing with who they are, in a sense, even in the public sphere and so on. And that's quite an encouraging kind of sign as well. Yeah.
Well, and for another detail that I think a lot of same-sex couples encounter when traveling, like, what should they expect to not share a bed at hotels, or can they share a bed?
No, they can share a bed.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Just to set that expectation.
Yeah, whenever I go out with even friends, actually, my male friends or my boyfriend or something like that, we normally share a bed in a hotel. Yes.
Okay.
Good. Is there anything else that queer travelers wanting to visit Morocco should be aware of, or anything that maybe we missed that you wanted to highlight, or do you think we kind of hit all the main points?
I think we've kind of hit off the main points. It's definitely good to do a little bit more research about where to go and so on. There are places that we cannot say per se and tell you this is where you should go, because we want to protect them in a sense as well. Not necessarily from the law, but also there's conservative factions here, as there is in every country in all of that.
Yeah.
And so, of course, if you do a little bit of research, you'll find places that are really interesting here and they are gay friendly. You can go and enjoy them, actually, especially as you are.
You touched on this a little bit, but I want to know if there's anything that people can expect about being maybe more difficult about traveling to Morocco when you're a foreigner. Like, is it more the language? Is it more the tradition and customs? Is it, trying to get around the country? Like, where do people tend to have problems, do you think?
So yes, I think the language barrier is one of the main issues here. The cultural sense of it as well can be quite difficult to navigate. Lots of people, there's a lot of culture clash in a sense, and like how to do things, or when lunch is served here, or it's like going to Spain or something like that. And
Yeah, when is lunch served there? Is it later?
It's very late, yes. So we're neighbors, so we share that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
2 or 3 o'clock
It's,
then? Okay.
yeah, 3 o'clock is lunchtime here. We have
Yeah,
a very late dinner as well, and
okay.
as well would come and have dinner.
We got neighbors then, definitely.
And so it's kind of these little things as well. Also, getting around the country can be challenging. As I said, it looks very small and manageable on the map, but once you're here, it's quite a lot to handle, and it's easier when you have someone that can actually handle all those things and make the trip very much hassle-free in a sense.
Mhm.
What would you say are some of the like most favorite things, or the things that like your past guests love about their trip to Morocco, the highlights?
Or things that surprise them.
Yeah.
Definitely, a lot of times people come with the expectations, and Morocco is a country that really does surprise you in a sense in terms of the diversity of the landscape and so on. If you come at the right time here, you probably visit the sea and have like perfect weather for like on the coast, and then go to the desert and end it with a ski resort or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Yes, and so that's the diversity of the landscape is definitely surprising. And also, when people think about visiting an Islamic Arab country, they don't know what to expect in that regard. But the Moroccan people are very much we are in itself very much a melting pot of cultures, and we've been influenced by everywhere. We have sub-Saharan influences, European influences, Islamic ones, and then the Berber culture, which is the original people of Morocco. So in itself, that kind of diversity lives within us, and it's become part of our DNA. And so the hospitality of the people and the friendliness is probably something that people do not necessarily expect when they come here. Yeah.
And when people get in contact with you, or people are interested in visiting, like when do you usually suggest is kind of like the best times or months to come and visit?
The best time to visit Morocco is usually this time from March until June. Although June is a very also interesting month to visit. There's a lot of it's the start of the festival season in Morocco, so there's a lot happening as well. And also from September until November is also the best time to visit. Usually the winter is quite busy. Our peak season is the Christmas and New Year
Oh,
period.
I would
Yes.
love that.
Because lots of people escape the winter, the cold winter in
Yeah,
Europe when they come
that makes
here.
sense.
And yes, and so it's usually quite busy. And so if you like busy places, probably it would work for you. But the winter can be cold in the mountains and quite mild actually in the other areas. The summertime, unless you are looking for a nice beach on the Atlantic or on the Mediterranean, you can come. As in the Sahara Desert is too in July
Well, so
now.
you mentioned there's festival season in June. I mean, Austin, I'd love to travel for events. I think it's a fun way to discover a new place. So, do you think if you wanted to go to see, an annual event that was happening somewhere around the country, is June a good time then? And what are those festivals?
Oh, definitely. June is a very, very good month to travel to Morocco. The energy is mesmerizing here as well. Some of the festivals that we have is we have an international festival called Mawazin in Rabat. It's the capital of Morocco, and it's located on the Atlantic. It's a huge festival. It attracts about 2.5 million people per year. And yeah, so they have.
Moroccans and foreigners?
Yes, Morocco's a film. Like this year, for example, we had Kylie Minogue as the opening act in the international.
Oh, cool.
We had Nicki Minaj.
Nice. But
The way about the festival is that unless you want to be in the VIP section, it's all free.
Oh, cool. I like
Yes.
that.
And so there's about like seven concerts happening at the same time, and you can choose where to go, whether to the international music or the Moroccan music, the Middle Eastern, the Sub-Saharan. And I love that kind of diversity that it also brings to the festival. It's really, really unique. And also, there's the Gnawa Festival, which is in the city of Essaouira, about 2 hours and a half away from Marrakesh. It's known as So the now festival started in the 60s, and a lot of hippies started coming to Estaria. So it really has a nice energy where people are much more chill and so on. And the music in itself, it was supposed to be more of a kind of soothing, but the energy there is also very, very nice. And it's one of my favorite festivals at the moment. Of course, there's a lot of techno festivals and so on, but I'm not a techno fan, so I don't know much.
There's a lot going on depending on what you like. So you can
Yes.
would Inclusive Morocco be able to kind of plan an itinerary around an event as well if people were interested in seeing something?
Yes, we do that actually quite a lot. Where would normally give you an idea about when it happens and so on, and then we can plan things around the festivals as well.
Something we didn't ask about, but I do want to get to before we finish is the kind of price range, more or less, for. I mean, I know that they're tailor-made, itineraries, so maybe it's difficult to say, but more or less, what could people expect to pay, and what would be included and not included?
Um, in terms of price range, it depends really on the length of the tour or the level of luxury, for example, or something like that. But normally, our guests starts at around 300 US dollars per night per person, and in terms of what's included, it usually includes the accommodation, transportation, the excursions and activities, and some of the meals. Yeah, so this is what we usually have in a itinerary.
Okay, that's a good base to
I know
know.
if I were listening, I'd want to
Yeah,
know. Like,
yeah.
let's get to the dollar amount.
Well, and if there's anyone listening that is interested in Morocco, but they're on the fence, they're obviously part of the LGBT community. Maybe they're a little bit nervous about traveling to Morocco. What would you say to them?
I would say I understand, but give us a chance in a sense. Yeah, so our slogan is Dare to Venture, and if you dare to venture to Morocco, you actually might be surprised. I understand like the people's rationale behind it. I myself would always Google when I'm traveling whether the place is LGBTQ friendly or not, and so on. And I understand also a lot of people who say that they probably would not want to support the economy of a country that is not necessarily welcoming to them as they are. But it's a kind of a two-edged sword here, and because it also risks completely isolating the local LGBTQ community. And the more we have visibility of people there, the more people can be accepting and so on. And that's at the back brings us back to that kind of the discussion why we are hiring people who might not be on the same wavelength as us at the moment. So do give us a chance, and we might surprise you as well. Yes.
Oh, perfect.
We share your thoughts on that too.
Yeah.
That we don't want to isolate the local LGBT community. Which I think if people were having second thoughts about it because they don't want to give their money to an economy that doesn't support the community, then you should specifically work with organizations that are helping the local LGBT community, like Inclusive Morocco. I get that, but you can put your money into a place that is supporting our community.
Right.
And we're three queer people who have all been to Morocco. You're from Morocco, and
Exactly.
it's definitely we
Exactly.
can vouch for it in place with visiting.
Yeah, we wouldn't be having this conversation if we didn't think it was a great option for our community. That's for sure.
Definitely,
Yeah.
and we also like work on the same wavelength. Like we always work with we prioritize LGBTQ owned hotels and boutique accommodations, and we know that the money will be going to causes that we support actually, and will help to bring more independence to the people, because it's just the changes that we have witnessed personally is just groundbreaking in terms of how the local people, whenever they get more chances and they're more financially independent and so on, they're able to express who they are quite much more comfortably, in a sense, than someone who is not. I get you get it in a sense that if you are more financially independent, you are able to be who you are and not fear, in a sense, the repercussions of being out or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
because you
great.
have more freedom. I think, change is slow, and I think that's a great way to do it, and using tourism and travel to accomplish that too.
It's like a bridge.
Yeah. Well, Bilal, is there any question that you wish we'd asked you, or something else you'd wish to share before we finish up?
I think we've covered everything. Probably I'll share a bit more about how because this is also close to our hearts in terms of the company and how we sustainability is at the heart of every trip that we organize in a sense, and we're not only environmental sustainability but also social impacts and sustainability. So whenever you book an Inclusive Morocco trip, you can be sure that your carbon footprints will be offset, and that your money will go to places that are really going to help people move forward in a sense. And that's it.
Okay, I'm glad that you included that because we didn't ask you about sustainability.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that is a focus of your company, so thanks for sharing it.
And we'll certainly share the link to your website in the show notes of this podcast. But can you just give our audience a shout out as to how they can find you, where they can find you online?
Oh, yes, you can find us on www.inclusivemorocco.com, and feel free to be in touch, and we'd love to speak to you all. Thank you so much, guys.
Well, last question, because we always like to finish up as it is a travel podcast. Where are you personally traveling to next?
Oh, I have a big trip actually into Southeast Asia. I've never been, and so yes, so I'm going to Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia in August. Yeah,
amazing. Have you been to those destinations before, or
no, it's really my first time in Southeast Asia. Yeah,
very cool.
Well, we look forward to hearing about your trip.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much, Bilal, for joining us on the show. I love hearing your story and the fact that I mean you're like literally making an on the ground difference, which is really cool.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, actually. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we look forward to hopefully continuing to work together too.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. Take care. We'll chat soon.
Bye, Bilal.
Bye.
Cool. What such a cool story.
Yeah, I mean, I really would just love to have drinks with him and pick his brain and hear his whole experiences, because I think what he's doing is great. Obviously, his company's right up our alley.
Yeah.
But also just his personal story, being a gay Moroccan, in Tangier and Marrakesh, I think is really interesting.
I love hearing that. I think it was actually a great episode to wrap up season 3. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. If you've listened to all of our episodes on season 3, thank you for joining us for 3 seasons.
All 8 of them.
All 8 of them. No, I'm talking about season 1, season 2, season 3. Right. We've progressed over the years. We first started on the Call-In app, remember? It was just audio.
I was going to say, now that we do video today, we're both like, wait, what shirt did we wear in our first 7 episodes of season 3? And now we're like checking them.
We built this podcast studio for season 3. So we're excited to see what's coming up next for season 4, which will start here in the fall.
Like the queer travel chat in 3D. I don't know what else it is. What do you do after the video?
Maybe we'll like figure out the wrinkles in the curtains at least. I'm not sure.
Or like a quiet air conditioner in here.
Yeah, like something. Gotta always evolve. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, if you like the show, please subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you listen. And please be sure to leave a 5-star review if you do actually enjoy the episodes. That, of course, really helps our show and gets some additional exposure. And if you're watching live on any social media platform, please feel free to leave a comment or share this episode with your friends. You can always follow us on social media. We're always at Too Bad Tourists. And lastly, please feel free to leave a comment or send us a message on any platform, website, social media, about what you might want to hear more of, because we do take those tips and sometimes turn them into episodes.
Sometimes just the tip. And that's it. We are done for season 3. We will be back for season 4 sometime in the fall, maybe approaching winter, depending on how things go, but definitely by the end of 2024, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Until then, we are going to be off to Torremolinos and Malaga.
We're on vacation. Summer travels. Let's do it.
And it's very southern Europe to be off in August, so we are going to the beach. So